You're listening to Generation AI
from Live Person.
Hello, Generation AI listeners. It's your host, Ruth Zive. We are recording today on a Friday, and I'm looking out the window. It's a beautiful day, and I am all fired up for a great conversation. Before we get started, just a reminder to please hit that subscribe button, give us a 5-star review. We need your support. Let us know what you think. Today, we have a very special guest. I'm excited to get to know him a little bit better, Dom Nicastro. Dom is editor-in-chief at Simpler Media Group, which many of you already know from reading their publications, including one of my favorites, which is CMSWire. In his role, Dom covers all kinds of news, including the latest in AI, CX, and business. And that is very aligned to what it is that we love to chat about here at Generation AI. So as you can imagine, I am thrilled to have Dom on the podcast today and to hear what he's seeing out there. So let's get started. Welcome to Generation AI, Dom.
Ruth, glad to be here. And I'm glad that your favorite publication is CMSWire, because that's the one I edit, right?
There you go.
Not those reworked folks, Siobhan Fagan, the editor of that, Chris Ehrlich and Vector, our other publication. I'm glad. We are off to a really, really good start. And I do want to say, this is CrowdStrike Day. Right? The day we're recording, it's like, oh no, can we get it in or not? But
I know. So everybody listening should be aware of what is going on out there in the world. It's a lot of high anxiety as everyone is struggling with all kinds of tech issues and travel issues, but we managed to get this in, so we're miracle workers.
I know. Well, this morning I ran out to Starbucks, Ruth, because I just wanted to get a coffee. I had none in the house, and I sat there and worked a little. They took the mobile app order successfully, but it didn't register on their end, so they were affected. And it's funny, people actually were talking to each other in the Starbucks mobile app area. Like, I've never seen that before. Everyone just looks miserable at that point, right? They're actually talking. I think the CrowdStrike breach brings everyone together. It has so far.
There you go. Well, maybe that observation is going to underpin our discussion today. Let's get into it, Dom. Before we talk more about the latest news, let's zoom out a little bit. I want to understand and maybe share with our listeners what was the point at which you first realized that AI was going to have tremendous impact on the world and on CX in particular? And maybe also talk a little bit as a journalist, how has AI impacted your role specifically? And how do you think the changes really mirror what's happening for marketing and CX?
Yeah, you got like a before ChatGPT and after ChatGPT thing going on here. I think that's the answer for me, is November 30th, 2022, a day after my 45th birthday, that would be. ChatGPT from OpenAI had its birthday in that day. And I think that completely changed the game. It's not a new take, but it did. And before that, Ruth, like when I was talking to marketing people, marketing vendors, CX vendors, consultants, who comes to mind is Paul Retzer of the Marketing AI Institute. I used to talk to him all the time about AI's infusion into marketing, into CX. And the constant theme before ChatGPT was, it's coming, it's going to get here. He was one of the people ahead of the game, knowing that something was going to kind of catch. And before that, it was so early. It was just like, we're trying to implement it. We're not quite there. And then when ChatGPT came in, it just made things so easy for like a consumer like me. I'm not any technician. I'm not a developer. I'm a journalist. So I write about the stuff, but I don't build it. I don't practice it. Although I have built a ChatGPT, little plugin, and like no one's clicked on it. It's like 4 people clicked on it. You know what it was, Ruth? It was a suggester, like for a what can we have for dinner? Because me and my wife fight about that every night.
I need that. It's only 4 people that have clicked on it. You need some marketing muscle behind that.
That's right. I'm like, I want Chinese, she wants pizza. How can we meet in the middle, right? And then even if ChatGPT did suggest what the bot that I built, she still would say I don't want it. But anyway, that's another story. So I do think that was the day. It's like that fateful day in November 2022 where we all said, "Oh, I can do this. I can build this into my existing marketing processes pretty easily. I can grab a lot of marketing data, throw it into a tool like ChatGPT, and actually give me some actionable outcomes." And it was the same thing for journalism too. But yeah, just to sum it up, I think it has to be that day where we made that leap. And I'm still seeing some. It still feels like early. Even it's been a year and a half. It doesn't feel like. I'm not looking at companies that like, wow, you have changed this customer experience software game with AI. This is like I haven't seen it. I've seen great efficiency gains from vendors and customer experience leaders, but I still haven't seen the huge, like, wow, that's the gotcha use case right there. I'm still waiting for that one.
Yeah, I hear you. And certainly in my day-to-day at work, we feel that as well. And it is almost like overnight a switch was flipped that democratized AI for the universe. I often say that I knew that this had caught fire when my 19-year-old son, who's a computer science major in college, and my 76-year-old mother, who can barely navigate her computer, are both awestruck by the promise of this technology. But I do take your point that it's almost as though a year and a half later, everybody is still very bought into the promise, but the reality has not yet been altogether realized, and everyone's sort of come back down to earth, and we're still holding our breath a little bit and waiting on what it is that businesses are going to introduce that is going to be so game changing. I don't think we've landed on it yet.
Yeah, 100%. If you look at some of the things I've seen with vendor demos, I've seen some great use cases where the agent experience just gets a little better, because you have these AI technologies right at their fingertips. Not, I don't think that's a huge like, oh, AI is solving these mundane problems and that changes our company because of it. And customers are just saying, thank you so much for answering that question that I asked. I think the big win and the big opportunity in customer experience is the agent experience being improved. We need to improve agent experience. Listen, Ruth, the agents to me are the most important people in a company. They're bigger than the CEO. CMO, no offense. Like they literally are your frontline people. And if I went to, an industry conference and those contact center leaders were telling me their number one priority is improving agent experience. That was the theme. It wasn't like software challenges. It wasn't hiring, firing, whatever. It was getting in front of agents with better tools to make them happy about their jobs.
Totally. You're speaking my language. We believe this very wholeheartedly at LivePerson. And this is the use case that we've primarily rolled out for our biggest customers. And as a consumer, I always think like, why would it too often the agent sounds like a robot? That they are reading off of a script. They are walking through steps without any real emotion or strategy or critical thinking skills, because that's what they've been told to do. Once you automate those use cases, you free them to have a better job, to have a better experience. It's a win for them. It's a win for the customer because they feel that they're getting a more personal touch, a more authentic experience. They're getting the attention from the agent in a meaningful way. And it's a win for the business because even though that AI isn't, front facing, you haven't sort of let it loose to the consumer directly, you're still able to drive up efficiency, diminish costs, free up your call center by hold times go down. So to me, that is the low hanging fruit use case. I want to ask though, because I've seen you write about the interplay between CX and EX, and we're starting to get to that. What that dynamic between the employee experience and the customer experience. This is something that's really been of interest to me for several years, because I do think they're very related. And what would be, you started to touch on that, but what do you think, based on your discussions with leaders, is the key takeaway here? What is the one thing that businesses could be doing to drive a better employee experience in order that it will translate to a better customer experience?
Yeah, first of all, it's recognizing that employee experience exists. Like we talk a good game, we say things like great EX leads to great CX. And my attempt at that statement is to try to really break it down and show me how it's happening. And I am not getting yet the hard use cases that show me data that this employee experience improved the CX. Because now I can take anecdotal data all day, and that's great. And I'm hearing the use cases that the automation with the agent experience, the on the fly answers to help these tricky customer questions. AI is improving the agent experience there because it's serving up something, a relevant answer. Now, we've had that before ChatGPT, right? We've had that technology. So recommended answers, that kind of thing. But I just think now what I'm hearing is it's faster. And if you're going to implement something that just makes the contact center agent's job a little better, because this is a job, Ruth, we all know that it is the single-handedly most unappreciated, thankless job in the entire world.
For sure. They get yelled at all day long. Yeah, it's a slog. And they have very high turnover rates as a result, I think.
Yes. So name me another job where every day, every contact you have with a customer is going to be negative. It's literally 100%. No one calls the call center to say, hey, just let you know you're doing a great job. See you later. Like they have a terrible problem and they want it fixed now. And again, like I'm not seeing the data that shows that AI has like significantly improved the employee experience and in turn the customer experience. I'm hearing good things. So I'm looking forward to getting more like evidence of the connection and conversations with folks like, Marietta Silva Allison of Intuit that I had help sort of enlighten this. And one of the big things I'll close this with is now slowly you're seeing actual customer experience leaders adapting EX titles and roles. Literally, in one case, she's not with Onsemi anymore. Onsemi is a huge semiconductor. But we had a podcast with April Ho Nishimura, and her title was like head of CX and EX. Fascinating, right? Are you seeing any titles like that lately, or?
We're definitely starting to see roles and responsibilities change as AI gets introduced, agent facing. Even the agents are taking more responsibility on fine tuning some of the models, managing bots, not just other employees. So I think that this is somewhat greenfield, but it doesn't surprise me that we're seeing roles and responsibilities changing in this space. And we should stay in touch because this is the primary use case that we roll out to our customers. And I agree with you that the jury's out. The data isn't necessarily in yet en masse, but we have a lot of stories from our customers validating the return on this investment. And I do think in the coming year, we're going to start to see more of that. I think it will reduce agent attrition. I think it will increase agent satisfaction with their jobs. And certainly in turn, it drives customer satisfaction and efficiency and cost savings for the business. So
yeah. And it seems like, Ruth, and you tell me from what you're hearing from your customers, is the CX people are the ones starting to lead the CX plus EX charge. It's not the EX people like human resources. They're not leading CX EX equals CX kind of thing. It's the CX people have those data chops. They have those metrics like NPS that they can apply to EPS. And like a provider like you guys, I'd love to hear more stories about who's leading the charge, how are they doing it, and is the software actually, like, let's say I fire up a piece of software, does it say, here's my EX tab, here's my CX tab, and let's meet in the middle? Like, I would love to see the day when that happens.
Interesting. Well, the good takeaway for me. But let's shift a little bit away from EX. You recently wrote an article that had an interesting stat that only 24% of CX practitioners actually feel that their efforts are highly personalized. Sort of gets back to that, agents acting as robots and having to read off of standardized scripts. Expectation. So we talk a lot about personalization on the podcast, in my work. I'm curious from your perspective and from the conversations that you're having, do you think that AI and automation are going to have impact here? Or are you still skeptical that we've cracked the code on personalization through AI?
100% skeptical. 100%.
Why is that?
I don't know. Like, I wish I had the answer, but I think 10 years of covering the CX space and the marketing space, the promises of personalization have been there. And on some level, you can do it. But I think we're still doing personalization in segments, like large segments. The technology that was like rolled out in front of me and other journalists that was impressive like 5 or 7 years ago was, look, if someone comes to the website, we change the weather based on where their climate is. And I'm like, that's not going to make me buy anything. You know what I mean? Like, what's going to make me buy something is like, hey, someone texts me like, Dom, I saw you like poking around at some sneakers. I know you're like, you're not a fit guy, but you still walk your dog. Like that would make me buy something. Like, are we there yet? That maybe not, because that's kind of creepy, right? But I think in that little report I did, the big thing was they had struggles because of a lack of data management and just the complexity of actual implementation of personalization technologies. Like, I've heard a lot of personalization engines. Like, where have those gone? I've heard journey orchestration engines. Like, where have those gone? You don't hear much about those anymore, but they were really popular before ChatGPT, before AI. And if you're able to if you're able to keep your data house in order, like, through these technologies that are advancing, CDPs, data management platforms, that kind of thing, if that's where it starts, if you're able to keep the data house in order, yeah, you can have good personalization, but you also need resources to actually roll out the personalization content. People forget that you got to create this content. Ruth, I think the bottom line is, I think the best personalization tool, this is going to sound like archaic, it's going to be an archaic take. The best personalization tool, and I don't even think it's even close, is email. Now, you're going to say, geez, email marketing? That was so 1999. What tool, what marketing tactic has better reach than email? I mean, we're all in there, right? We can reach anybody we want anytime. It's great for collaboration. I think there's still a use case that email is. Look, I listen to our marketing team. A lot of what we do is emails.
Listen, I don't disagree. As part of my responsibility, I oversee our BDR organization. We do a lot of email marketing. In fact, it's one of our top performing channels. And we've actually leveraged AI to personalize those emails in ways that I think are legitimate, because if you're sending, if my BDR team is focusing on a particular company, they're using AI to do their research. They're using ChatGPT to research the company, even sometimes the individual within the company. And there's so much that you can extract quickly in order to craft those emails. You and I are, I think, almost from the same generation. And so, email is very much within my comfort zone. My kids would probably disagree with your statement, though. They're not doing a lot of emailing, but strictly in terms of how you can personalize, I don't disagree that there's a lot of opportunity with email.
We can rope in those youngsters, though, with they need to sign up to get access to, right? They have, like, what other tool is better than to sign up for this and we'll give you your discount? I mean, the kids are on their mobile apps, but eventually they might have to put in their email.
Yeah, fair enough. Maybe the email space is ripe for disruption. Maybe there's an opportunity there that hasn't yet been exploited. But I do agree with you. A lot of these very promising personalization platforms, I've used many of them, and they haven't necessarily lived up to the promise, even with ChatGPT. I think it's a hard nut to crack. I do think within the context of customer experience, and especially on the care side and the customer support side, when you think about agents, to the extent that you're leveraging AI to surface to the agent a fuller picture of the customer, I do think they can be better armed with, if you think about that awful experience where you have to repeat yourself every time you're switched to a new agent or you're switched to a new channel, if there was a way to tap into the data persistently and consistently across channels, across agents, that alone would lead to a more personalized experience, don't you think?
You actually stole my thunder, because I think that's the best use case out there for personalization. Not so much like, oh, we saw that you like Nike shoes. There's value to that too. But the bigger value is, just like you said, it is knowing where you are in your customer journey. That's important, because if I'm on step 6 out of 10 and you start asking me questions about step 2 and 3, you lost me. I don't have time for that. And speaking of time, by the way, I wanted to mention like a KPIs for contact center. I think we need to change that drastically. Time to resolve, time to resolution, that kind of thing. Those are some hard metrics and KPIs that just get agents frustrated, because I've had 27-minute calls with contact center people that are fun. They let me vent a little bit. They're probably like rolling their eyes saying, well, this guy just I go, and then when I'm on hold, sometimes I do work, so I don't care how long it takes. I mean, I'm sure you're the same way. You're just banging out emails while you're on hold music. And so when it comes to efficiency and saving customers time, yeah, that's a huge part of the personalization game I think businesses need to focus on.
Agreed. As we think about the second half of the year, and granted, on many fronts, the world sort of feels like it's in a state of chaos, maybe even more so today. But what are the big stories that you think are going to influence the headlines in the second half of the year from a CX and AI perspective, especially?
One of the best coverage areas for us that always get a lot of good engagement is taking screw ups and lessons learned from that. So as AI evolves, I think we're going to see in the second half of this year, beyond, a lot of mistakes. And as soon as ChatGPT came out, man, those mistakes were, fast and furious. I mean, my colleagues in the industry were rolling out articles all written by AI, and you saw that. And the very fabric of journalism is to back up things you say, right? I mean, I have people that submit content and they have a big take, and there's a journalist kind of going off a little bit, and they're human. They write a couple paragraphs that are a little bit editorialized, a little opinionated. I'm just like, who's told you that? And they're like, no one. That was just me. I'm like, well, we got to step out. We're journalists. We got to be objective. So get someone to tell you that. That's cool. So in my own industry, if I could go there, I see AI as coming to us. AI is your assistant. It's not your boss. Like, it's not someone who's going to drive your process or is going to drive your content. Write an article for me on, live person's new CX assist agent, whatever, right? No, it's take this interview I did with Ruth and give me an article outline on it, or give me some, 5 takeaways. Give me Ruth's best 5 quotes that you think I should include in my article. That's where the magic of AI happens, I think, in journalism. So the more and more journalists, CX leaders can go on that, MO of AI is like an intern for us. Tell it what to do. Take your own content, your own brand messaging, and tell AI that you need help with it. Your own contact center agents use cases. Tell AI that you need help with it. Don't just implement for the heck of it, which I think in the second half and beyond, the big guys, the big brands need to step up and do this better, because I'll give you an example. Google AI overviews. Has that changed the game of search? Like, have you seen them? You've seen those. Has it like upended everything? Like, wow, my search experience is completely different than it was in 2021. No. What Google AI overview is just a glorified snippet, right? And it's like, okay, cool. It gave me a snippet, but who's the source? I'm always looking for the source. I can't trust AI that the business model for something that says, I'm giving you information based on everything that's ever been said on the internet. Who would ever take that and use it with a customer or a reader? In my instance, a reader, right?
Yeah. I think, if I'm hearing you correctly, this sort of overarching theme is this notion that in the last year and a half, we've seen the scary parts of AI, the misinformation, the hallucinations, the big promises without the real results, credible results. And that's made us a little bit more tentative in all parts of society. I think in media and journalism, to your point, especially. The hope, though, what I'm hearing from you is that through these mistakes, we start to learn how AI can be best leveraged to make us better as humans, and not the reverse. It's really not AI supplanting us as humans or doing our jobs for us, or, framing the story, telling the story. We can't do that. That's a dangerous proposition, whether it's, as a support bot on a website, or whether it's how we get our information and news. So I think that's a big point that you're making as we consider the second half of the year and beyond. We've got a lot of big things happening in the second half of the year across the world, and hopefully our listeners and people generally take those concerns to heart, because I really do agree with you.
Yeah, and I think the giants need to be more patient, but they're pressured. OpenAI, totally upended Google, Microsoft. Everyone does everything different. Google is rolling out things like AI overviews in search just to stay competitive, like with OpenAI, and it's forced them into doing quick, too fast to the market kind of innovations. You know what I'm saying? And wouldn't it be better to wait to a point where AI search results can say something like, hey, here are the top 5 searches, and this is the customer trust score for all of these sources. Now AI is giving you information to inform you and which blue link to click. Something like that. Now, this is me talking. Is that possible? I'm not a developer. I'm not an AI innovator. But I just think the overall point is these big companies need to set a standard for innovation and not rush things.
It's a recurring theme on this podcast. How do you strike that balance between innovation and safety and security and credibility? And that tension, I think, has not yet been resolved in an appropriate way. We could have a whole podcast about that, Dom, but I know we're coming to time, and I want to make sure that we wrap up with our Hype It or Hate It segment, which is very popular here on the podcast. Our producer is going to put 60 seconds on the clock, and each of us is going to get a chance to rant about something. The rules are that you can be positive or negative about something in the world, or AI, or business. But we only have 60 seconds to explain what we're feeling really heated about, or what we're loving this week. So are you ready for us?
Okay, I will put 60 seconds on the clock. Ruth, we're going to start with you. So you will have 60 seconds to hype or hate accordingly. I will let you know when you have 30 seconds left and then 10 seconds left, and a buzzer will sound. And then, Dom, you will have a chance to weigh in, if you so choose, on Ruth's topic. So, Ruth, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, your time starts now.
Okay, I hope my son is not listening to this podcast because today I'm going to rant about gaming. And this is going to make me sound like a bit of an old school and curmudgeon-y mom, but I have a 19-year-old son and he's a gamer and he's home this summer from college. And he has a job and he's working in this job remotely and he's working as a coder for a software company. So he's on his computer all day in his room for the most part. But as a gamer, when he's not working, he's also mostly on his computer in his room, talking remotely to friends and probably strangers, and he's staring at a screen. And I just have so many feelings about this. It's summer, it's beautiful outside, he's young, he's healthy. I just feel like gaming breeds antisocial habits. Now, he would say the opposite. He would say that this is a very social outlet. And I will say my son has lots of friends. He's well adjusted. He's happy, but I cannot relate to gamer life whatsoever.
You know, it's easy for us to have a take like that, Ruth, but you remember.
Yeah.
Come on, Super Mario Brothers did keep us in the house too.
It did. Nintendo. Not the same way, Dom. Not the same way. I don't know if you have kids or a son, but like this is a compulsion. I don't know.
Listen, I was Tecmo Bowl, double dribble all day. I'm telling you, I was inside too. No, for real, we did. I'm 46. We did go out all day and then play the video games at night. That was the MO for us. These kids, though. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I got a 19-year-old too.
There you go.
You should hear the roars coming out of the room. Like, who are you yelling at? Like, I got frustrated when my brothers pressed pause and then Luigi died in a hole in Super Mario. I got really upset, but I didn't scream this loud.
No, they are literally living in this universe. Like Anyway,
he's broken TVs. He's broken TVs. Throw the Xbox controller at it.
I feel validated.
He's paying for it when he makes consistent money.
Awesome.
All right. Well, Dom, now it is your turn to hype or hate something. So same deal. Going to put 60 seconds on the clock. I'll let you know when you have 30, 10, and then a buzzer will sound at the very end, and Ruth will have a chance to weigh in. So are you ready?
I am.
All right. Your time starts now.
Well, I'm going to go with the take, and Ruth, there's no offense to this or your company, but I get a lot of press releases from technology companies touting their software, and you know, some of it's fun and cool and interesting. A lot of it is just fluff. Words like seamlessly, revolutionary, easy to integrate. Don't tell me these things. Show me. Like literally. In press releases, embed a video. It's easy to do now. Have AI do it, right? You know, based on our conversation today. Show me that, okay, I'm clicking from this point to that point. Look how easy this is to implement this massive technology into a CMS. So I just think that vendors can be a little more honest and say, hey, look, you know what? This is going to be a challenge. It's going to take a few months, but we'll get there with you because we're the best support team out there. There you go. I think that can be a little bit of a tweak on a vendor message.
Noted, Dom. Of course, we never do this at Live Person. Words seamlessly or easy to integrate never appear in our press releases. But what I will tell you is that the person at Live Person who is in charge of our PR is also in charge of this podcast, and he will certainly be listening to this, and we will remove all of those words from any future press releases. And I love the idea of embedding a demo and agree with you that it's much more effective to show the market what you're doing than to tell the market what you're doing. We do try to integrate video, and those are always so much better received. So even though I'm probably guilty of what you're hating on today, I agree with you.
Yeah, it's like, you know, like how often, you know, when a brand or a contact center agent tells you like, hey, I get it. A lot of customers are calling up. This is definitely a challenge. We're working on it. You know, it's going to take you about 6 months. It should be faster. We agree. But honestly, we're on it. we're on it. Like I just, a little more honesty would be fun in those vendor messages.
That's good advice. That's good advice.
Suggestion box.
That's right. Dom, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can our listeners find you if they want to learn more about you or read some of your work?
Yeah, CMSWire.com. Please go there. Get our organic visits up.
Awesome.
That's the main thing. For sure. CMSWire.com. Sign up for our newsletter. We got plenty of cool stuff in there. So
Perfect.
thanks for that opportunity.
Perfect. And to those of you that are listening to this podcast that have not yet subscribed, please do so. Give us a rating. You can subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. And until next time, I'm Ruth Zive with Generation AI, and we will talk to you soon.
You've been listening to Generation AI,
Automating Better Business,
a show from LivePerson.
Never miss an episode by subscribing to the show in your favorite podcast player. Please give us a rating, leave a comment, and share the episodes you love. Until next time.